Hello, everybody. I just say we're very much looking forward to continuing our meetings today with the Prime Minister and other premiers in the best interest of the Canadian economy. Primarily, we see obviously relations, trade-based relations, starting to advance with countries like China. We see our Federal Minister of Energy in India, which is a good engagement to have as we see that relationship advancing as well. And I think we do have an opportunity now to have discussions about how we really start to, in many ways, become more ambitious with laying out what Canada needs to see in the future with a trade relationship with our largest trading partner, which is the United States of America. So China and India are two of our three largest trading partners, and obviously the single largest trading partner that we traditionally have and likely will have into the future is the United States of America. And so we would look for good discussions today as to where Canada can start to be more ambitious, more vocal in laying out, what we want to see from that trade relationship, not just today, but years and decades into the future. And so looking forward to the discussions today.
Premier Mo, Michael Couture from CTV. Yeah. From the meetings yesterday and from the dinner last night, are you seeing a cohesiveness within the premiers, or are you also seeing some of the divisions there, like between Premier Mo and Premier Kinew and Premier Ford, when it comes to their issues, and Eby and Smith and their issues as well?
Pretty minor divisions when you look at the challenges that we're facing as Canadians with respect to our market access around the world, but also in with our largest trading partner, the United States of America. And so, certainly we're going to have differences in the diversity that we have from coast to coast to coast. That's fair. And I think what Canadians should very much be thankful for is that their provincial leaders and their federal leader are in a room discussing not only those differences, but discussing how we can, come together to really lay out what our trade relationships are going to look like into the future. And at the end of the day, from an economic perspective, we need a regulatory environment to attract that investment into our nation and into our provinces. And we need market access in order to, market those goods around the world. The goods that are creating value for Saskatchewan families, in my case, but most certainly Canadian families across our nation. And so I would say we will never agree on everything, but certainly we agree on making every effort to ensure that Canada is competitive in the economy that we are trying to develop. In our aspirations, all of us, I think, in the room, to develop an economy that is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, in the G7.
Premier, you said yesterday you'd like to hear more on how we can manage certainty with the U.S. trade relationship.
Right.
What did you mean by that, and what would you like to hear from the Prime Minister today with regards to the upcoming CUSMA review?
What I'd like to hear is a conversation around really clarifying what Canada needs in that trade relationship moving forward, and whether or not then we're able to actually present that and move with respect to not the renegotiation of CUSMA, but the review of CUSMA that is scheduled for this summer. And I think we have an opportunity, maybe as Canadians, to even put, what our expectations and what our needs and what maybe some of our challenges are in that agreement forward sooner rather than later.
The Premier of Ontario said yesterday it'd be a catastrophe if the Parti Québécois were to win the next election in Quebec this coming fall. What are your thoughts on that?
We're in a democracy, so whoever gets the most votes is going to win that election. I would just say very thankful for the leadership François Legault has provided. I've had the opportunity to serve with him for some 7 years around the Council of Federation table here today. I think it does speak to some broader concerns that many Canadians in various parts of the country have when it comes to the relationship with some of the federal policies over the course of the last decade. In Quebec, maybe that's even longer than that. But I think the opportunity that we have, and the opportunity we have here today, is actually to come together on behalf of all of Canada. In the trade relations, the market relations, and the regulatory opportunities that we have to attract additional investment to really aspire to have that strongest economy in the G7, and that includes many industries that are employing people in Quebec. So the people of Quebec are going to speak. That will be what it will be.
But do you think if the PQ wins, do you think it would weaken Canada's position vis-a-vis Mr. Trump?
Well, we'll see what that'll do. Not necessarily. I think the PQ has made some economic, statements as well as to what they might look at in that space. And there is some challenges. We're seeing that in Saskatchewan. I think you're seeing it in Alberta as well. We very much believe as a government in Saskatchewan that we will continue to be a very autonomous province within a very strong nation of Canada. And that is what we're here today to discuss is, how can we strengthen the economic opportunities that not only we have in Saskatchewan, but what we have as Canada when it comes to our market access and whatnot as well. That's what the CAQ party led by Francois Legault has been focused on over the last number of years. He has also been an advocate of putting Canada's position forward with respect to trade relations and the review of CUSMA for some time now. And I think he's provided some excellent leadership. And I would hope, and I truly would hope as a Canadian, that that Quebec is going to continue to want to be part of Canada because of what that can provide to Quebecers as well.
Are you worried about the Trump administration's involvement in Alberta separation? We've seen Scott Bessent talk about it. There's reporting out about them.
I think with respect to, if there are referendums that happen, it's going to be, again, in a democracy, the people who live in those jurisdictions that are going to make the decision.
But the Trump administration seems to be wanting to put themselves...
We heard some comments yesterday, and I've been clear about any comments, whether they be from the president or some of the secretaries of who I met with, many of them, is, we need to just take a breath when those comments are made. We need to look at what is with our trade relationship with who is historically our largest trading partner and likely will be into the future. And having a war of words back and forth is not going to put us in a better bargaining position by any stretch. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you. It's a beautiful Ottawa morning, and very honored to be here representing British Columbia in the First Minister's meeting this morning. We're discussing a number of important issues with the Prime Minister and of crucial importance to British Columbians, moving our Canadian economy forward, growing the economy, as well as the CUSMA negotiations. We'll be working with the Prime Minister on ensuring that British Columbia's interests, particularly around issues like softwood lumber, are part of the discussions around CUSMA. I'd like to just take and pause a moment. I read an article last night in the Financial Times about a group of people from Alberta, I won't describe them as Albertans, who went to the White House seeking the assistance of the United States to break up our country. Now, I understand the desire to hold a referendum, to talk about the issues you want to talk about in Canada. We got free speech, that's important. But to go to a foreign country and to ask for assistance in breaking up Canada, there's an old-fashioned word for that, and that word is treason. It is completely inappropriate to seek to weaken Canada, to seek to go and ask for assistance to break up this country from a foreign power. And with respect, a president who has not been particularly respectful of Canada's sovereignty. I'm going to be raising that issue at this table. I think that while we can respect the right of any Canadian to express themselves, to vote in a referendum, I think we need to draw the line at people seeking the assistance of foreign countries to break up this beautiful land of ours that our forefathers, our foremothers, our parents, our grandparents fought for. There is a line. And especially at this time when all Canadians have to pull together, I think we can speak as one voice about conduct like that. So there are important issues to discuss at the table today. I look forward to the conversation, and thanks very much for being here.
Premier, I just wanted to ask you a follow-up on that question of those Albertans going to D.C. Is this something that you're going to raise with Premier Smith, and do you think that she has any hand to play in trying to sort of quell that or stop that type of thing?
Well, these are not Albertans. Albertans overwhelmingly want to stay in Canada. This is a small group of people that live in Alberta that don't want to be part of Canada, don't want to be part of Alberta. And I think that all of us, myself, Premier Smith, every premier, has a role to play to say that this is unacceptable conduct. I have no issue with people being able to vote and express themselves in Canada. The issue I have is crossing the border and seeking the assistance of foreign power to break up our country. That's
Just lastly, I wanted to ask you, you said it was borderline friendly with Premier Smith yesterday. Did the dinner change that? Are you hoping that there are gusts of even friendlier conversations today?
The dinner was good dinner last night. Premier Smith was unfortunately unable to join us. But yes, we value our relationship with Alberta as part of Confederation. We're going to work with Alberta to find paths forward. And our position on the Northern Pipeline hasn't changed. But there are lots of areas we can work on together, including the optimization project of the TMX pipeline, which I know is a priority of Premier Smith's. It is a cause of anxiety in the Lower Mainland around spills and related issues. So we'll have those conversations. But these are the kinds of projects that we can work on together that benefit both of us and move the country forward.
After the meeting yesterday, is it your belief that the Prime Minister wants to build that pipeline to the northwest coast of BC?
So my understanding is that the Prime Minister and the Premier of Alberta have entered into an MOU that articulates their interest in building that pipeline and how they seek to do that. That's their project. I have articulated my concerns about the lifting of the tanker ban, about the need for Indigenous consent, the fact that we have real projects worth billions of dollars that could be put in jeopardy by those discussions for a project that doesn't exist yet. They are well aware of my position, and they're continuing their discussions. Thanks very much.
On softwood, is it still reasonable to believe there could be a deal outside of CUSMA review?
I'm very hopeful that at some point the Americans will recognize their increased costs, the inflation that they're seeing around home building are related to the restrictions on Canadian softwood and the tariffs of in excess of 50% from British Columbia. I think that Americans should be concerned that it's easier and cheaper to ship softwood from Russia to the United States than from British Columbia and Canada. And I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have an agreement, not just on softwood, but more broadly with the Americans going forward, because it has benefited both of our countries. Thanks very much.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm John Main, here for my first time as Premier of Nunavut, representing our territory on the national stage. I'm very privileged to be here and very encouraged with the focus and the talk about Arctic security and sovereignty. And from Nunavut's perspective, investments in Arctic security and sovereignty need to be made in a way that's done in consultation with stakeholders, consultation with the community, as well as territorial government. And of course, our Inuit organizations need to be part of the conversation. So looking forward to having great discussions with my colleagues today.
Premier Michael McIntyre with CTV. I know that there is a concern as well from northern premiers about not just having sort of defense installations up in the north, but making sure you're building up the communities that surround them. What headway are you making in that with the Prime Minister?
Well, we've been having great conversations around security and sovereignty and what it means. There's a lot of moving pieces in terms of the Department of National Defense. There's also other agencies involved, Transport Canada. It's been encouraging in terms of the Prime Minister and his ministers, their willingness to listen to us, our ability to secure meetings with them and to provide input. So in terms of what the talk is going to mean in terms of action on the ground in Nunavut, in the Arctic, that remains to be seen. But what we're advocating for is a balanced approach where it's not just state-of-the-art military technology. It also needs to be investments in communities, in the basics of life, like drinking water, electricity supply, so that we're developing the Arctic in a balanced way.
But do you think that that's where this is going, or does it sound like they're receptive to that balanced approach?
Does it feel? I'm encouraged. I'm optimistic at this point in time, just based on the conversations that we've been having. There's a willingness to listen, and from our perspective, we have a message that we want to share. So it is encouraging when you have a partner on the other side of the table who's listening to you actively. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Morning, folks. Great day for Team Canada. Looking forward to sharing with the Prime Minister and the other premiers some exciting news about our Churchill Plus project. This project has it all. Shipbuilding opportunities for Eastern Canada, including Ontario and Quebec, getting Western Canadian resources to international markets while protecting the West Coast, and of course, supporting Arctic independence. So some of the updates that we have to share are that we have one of Canada's biggest energy companies interested in acting as a proponent for Churchill Plus. Our government is about to sign an NDA with this company so that we can engage more fully. We've been working with the Major Projects Office for the past number of months and have co-written a charter for this project, which scopes it out. With the Major Projects Office, we are hiring a consultant to begin market sounding this coming month, And that'll turn around a final report in April that will give us the ability to really flesh out the numbers to make this project work. At the same time, we've been engaging the Arctic Research Foundation to scope out the exact criteria for an icebreaker to expand the shipping season. And that will include, by the way, working with the Baffinland mine further north to potentially share resources around icebreaking capacity to get more Canadian resources, both to international markets, but also potentially to import the highest purity iron ore in the world to mainland Canada so that we could feed mills, whether that's in Selkirk or the Algoma or other facilities around the country. And then, of course, very importantly, on the environmental side, we are funding a study on a marine conservation area. Beluga, polar bears, we want to protect them at the same time we grow the economy and enhance national defense. So there is going to be a big Canadian not-for-profit announcing a similar investment to our government's next week alongside that conservation area initiative. So if you look at everything, big energy play, defense, environmental protection, Churchill has it all in terms of nation building. Very excited to share the news with my colleagues. And of course, I'll be heading up to Churchill next week with my skates on to make sure that not only do I get a chance to shoot the puck around with some kids, but that we stand up for Team Canada together.
Premier Kinew, I know you had very publicly offered to Premier Ford to sit down and have a conversation about Crown Royal. Did you get to do that yet?
Yeah, we've spoken about Crown. Today, I'm telling you that you have a project that answers how do you protect the West Coast while getting Canadian energy projects to international markets. You have a supply chain to support a military presence in the Arctic to enhance Arctic independence. And you have a way to bring economic opportunity to every single province and territory in Canada. And that route to deliver on all those things comes through Churchill.
So did that conversation with Premier Ford not go well, if you don't want to talk about it?
You guys are going to report on Smith and EB. I'm giving you guys a solution to their current impasse. I'm surprised you're not chomping at the bit to report on this. Crown Royal, we're going to get a resolution there. But that's old news. This, Churchill Plus news, this is all breaking.
David Eby called Alberta separate into a meeting with the Trump administration's traitors or treasonous this morning. How do you feel about that? Are you concerned about the issues associated with Alberta?
There was some conversation yesterday among premiers about different referenda. Don't get a chance to use the word plural of referendum very often, so I'm going to use it, referenda. We had some conversations, and the joke that I said from Manitoba's perspective is like, wow, all this referendum talk makes me want to have a referendum too, except in Manitoba, the question is going to be, do you want to stay a part of Canada? And the two choices are going to be yeah and heck yeah. So that's where we're coming from. Bien, on travaillera avec qui que ce soit que les Québécois et Québécoises vont élire cette année. Et pour moi, c'est à cause du fait qu'il y a beaucoup de francophones au Manitoba, que le Québec a un parti très important dans notre pays et que le fait francophone est centralement au Québec, mais c'est plus grand que le Québec aussi. C'est-à-dire que oui, votre pouvoir, votre population à Québec est très important, mais j'espère que les Québécois et Québécoises sont dans une situation de reconnaître qu'il y a une place pour eux dans l'ouest du Canada aussi. Ils sont accueillis chez nous au Manitoba aussi.
Ça ne nuirait pas, si le Parti québécois tenait un référendum, ça ne nuirait pas à la position du Canada dans le contexte avec M. Trump?
Ben, tu me mets au défi un peu à cause du fait que je vais rencontrer avec M. Legault dans quelques minutes. Alors, je ne veux pas vraiment comme accueillir un autre parti au même temps que je vais rencontrer avec lui. Mais ben, qui que ça soit au gouvernement québécois, soit un gouvernement de coalition Avenir québécois, des péquistes, des libéraux, peut-être qu'il va y avoir un parti provincial néo un jour. Je ne connais pas. On va travailler avec qui que ça soit.
Vous parlez de la Colombie-Britannique, vous parlez du Québec. Est-ce qu'il y a une préoccupation réelle au sein du Conseil de la Fédération par rapport à l'unité nationale?
Oui. À cet moment international, c'est important d'avoir de l'unité canadienne. à cause du fait que nous sommes presque en train de chicaner avec les États-Unis, la plus grande économie au monde. Et puis, la deuxième économie au monde, les Chinois sont même en train de nous mettre au défi en même temps. Alors oui, nous avons besoin de l'unité canadienne, mais pour moi, ce n'est pas une question linguistique, ce n'est pas une question économique d'un secteur vers un autre, une région vers un autre. C'est toujours chaque région, chaque province, chaque territoire a ses propres enjeux pour avancer aujourd'hui, cette année, et nous devons trouver une façon de rassembler tout le monde, incluant l'affaire francophone, mais aussi des autres défis dans notre pays. Thank you. Je pense que les souverainistes ou les séparatistes à Québec n'ont pas partagé la vérité du Canada. C'est-à-dire, il y a beaucoup de francophones dans l'ouest du Canada. Notre province était créée dans la Confédération par M. Louis Riel. Quand le gouvernement fédéral est venu chez nous pour tuer M. Riel, c'était les Québécois qui ont appuyé notre province et notre chef à ce temps-là. Alors, il y a une grande histoire de la francophonie tout partout dans le Canada. Et je pense que les séparatistes et souverainistes sont en train de peut-être avancer des blagues ou quoi que ce soit pour leur propre carrière politique. Mais je veux juste que le Québec se souvienne qu'il y a une longue histoire d'être reconnu et respecté tout partout dans le Canada. Alors j'espère que l'élection sera au sujet d'une vie plus abordable. Ça serait au sujet d'un système de santé meilleur, mais qui n'a jamais une question que le Québec a une place ici dans le Canada. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Lucky to be the one following Wab Kinew. Good morning, everyone. New Brunswick is thrilled to be entering this FMM meeting after productive conversations last night and yesterday with the Council of the Federation. We have a huge opportunity in front of us as a province that is where Canada's military is made and where our critical role in our nation's sovereignty has never been more clear. We look forward to conversations about collaboration on defense today and how we're going to see the federal government investment roll out to provinces like New Brunswick and beyond as we retake our position in the world. We're also really excited to have conversations about energy because New Brunswick has a lot of different energy resources at our fingertips with nuclear power, with hydroelectric power. We're building out biomass, wind, solar, and we need to strengthen our views on electricity and energy from a national perspective and from a regional perspective. We were lucky to be able to support our neighbours in PEI and Nova Scotia through some cold times over the past week, but that has made clear the importance of interties and transmission infrastructure and collaboration agreements and a national perspective on energy generation and sharing. So we are looking forward to continuing the spirit of collaboration and teamwork that makes Canada strong and taking that unity to the world at a time when the world wants what New Brunswick has and what Canada has. Le Nouveau-Brunswick est fier d'être ici aujourd'hui pour continuer les bonnes conversations qu'on a eues avec les autres premiers ministres hier soir puis hier. On a hâte de parler au sujet de défense et comment le gouvernement fédéral va créer leur programme d'investissement en défense à cause du fait que le Nouveau-Brunswick, c'est là où on forme les militaires pour le Canada, à BFC Gagetown. Nous sommes des leaders dans la défense en cybersécurité et nous sommes hâte de contribuer nos forces à la souveraineté canadienne. Nous sommes aussi hâte de parler de la collaboration énergétique à cause du fait que le Nouveau-Brunswick a de l'énergie nucléaire, de l'énergie solaire, éolienne. On a des connexions, des pipelines, un terminal LNG. Et juste la dernière semaine, on a emprunté nos énergies à l'île du Prince-Édouard, à Nouvelle-Écosse, dans des moments où ils étaient proches de perdre. Et ces connexions, cette infrastructure énergétique devrait être considérée d'une façon nationale. Puis le Nouveau-Brunswick est prêt à jouer un rôle de leader là. Alors, on va continuer de bonnes conversations qui démontrent que notre union, c'est notre force et le travail qu'on fait ensemble pour rendre plus fort le Canada est plus important que jamais à cause de notre position globale du jour. Merci beaucoup.
Senator Susan Collins says that the ice surge is moving out of Maine. Your thoughts on that?
I saw that she spoke with Secretary Nome, and I think a lot of New Brunswickers will breathe a sigh of relief to hear that.
On softwood lumber, is it reasonable to believe there could be a deal outside of CUSMA?
That's a great question and one that we are constantly seeking insight on. Right now, we're not seeing a lot of movement or interest on softwood lumber from our American counterparts, but we are constantly looking at ways to make it clear to the U.S. administration how the U.S. Lumber producers are suffering under a low price, how there is opportunity on the table to put something in place that would see that the money that has been held get invested back into the U.S. in order to remove the 45% tariffs that are really hammering New Brunswick's softwood lumber industry.
Madame Holt, vous étiez à côté de Doug Ford hier quand il a dit que l'élection d'un gouvernement péquiste serait une catastrophe. Est-ce que vous pensez qu'il n'aurait pas dû aller aussi loin en se mêlant des affaires de la province?
Peut-être il parle de son perspective, certainement au Nouveau-Brunswick, avec le Québec comme notre voisin le plus proche, puis la province qui nous attache au reste du Canada. Nous avons un gros amour pour le Québec. Ils sont nos bons amis. Nous sommes la seule province bilingue. Nous partageons une francophonie. On partage des familles. Pour nous autres, on veut que le Québec reste au Canada à cause qu'on pense qu'on est plus fort ensemble. Mais les politiques en Québec sont les politiques en Québec. Ils sont différents que les politiques en Nouveau-Brunswick.
Non, du Québec, on parle aussi de l'Alberta. Je me demande à quel point la question de l'unité nationale est une réelle préoccupation pour vous au Conseil de la Fédération.
Je pense que l'unité nationale est une question vraiment importante à un moment où nos opportunités globales sont de plus en plus, ça augmente considérablement. Il y a tout le monde qui veut faire des échanges avec nous autres, qui veut acheter de nous autres. C'est le temps de démontrer au monde que nous sommes un pays stable, que nous avons une fédération stable, parce que cette stabilité, ça c'est ce qui attire les investissements que le Nouveau-Brunswick veut dans notre infrastructure énergétique et de plus. Alors, je pense que cette position unie est vraiment importante sur la scène globale à ce point.
How problematic is it that we are having these questions about separation and referenda in different provinces?
It's a good question to see how much that has broken through to the international stage. We're hoping that those questions, as we do in Canada, can be resolved peacefully and respectfully, with people listening to each other and having dialogue, expressing themselves in a free and democratic country, and that we can then focus on the opportunity at hand, which is Canada assuming a position in the world economically and socially that sees all Canadians prosper and see the benefits of being part of this country. Yeah, I think you're talking about a minority of people who are agitating, and I am very optimistic that the majority of Albertans will demonstrate their love for this country and their desire to be a part of it in whatever comes next. Merci.
Well, good morning, everyone. We've had a real productive day yesterday and yesterday evening discussing quite a few different items. One being, well, there's been a few, but in our case, critical minerals, but critical minerals right across the entire country, our SMR and our large-scale nuclear, and of course, housing and auto. So these are some of the areas that we focused on, and we'll continue on our conversations today. Sure.
General Motors about shutting down, and what do you say to those families even though I know there's an auto strategy coming, but they're concerned about their futures right now.
Well, we have a plan. We're going to make sure that they have opportunities in the defense sector, life science sector, other areas, and we'll be there for them 24/7. So it's very disappointing, but this goes back to our point that we have to move quicker and faster and make sure that the federal government comes in to support not only these workers, but the overall auto sector. We have to be more competitive. We have to get rid of the EV mandate to make ourselves more competitive, and that's my message to the Prime Minister.
What do you think about these reports about Alberta sovereignty?
Well, you know something, I'm dead against that. You know, going behind Canada's back and negotiating is unacceptable. We're one country, and we should all be sticking together. We shouldn't have groups going around the federal government's back or the province's back to negotiate something with the U.S. We all know where President Trump stands. He wants Canada, and that's not going to happen. We'll fight with every tool we have. So I find that unacceptable.
Premier Eby called that treason, Premier. Do you think that's a fair word for what's happened?
I don't know about treason. It's unacceptable. It's unethical. I'm a little disappointed that they've done this. But this is an opportunity for Premier Smith to stand up and say enough is enough. And either you're with Canada or you're not with Canada. I'm with Canada right across the board.
Is she stoking the separatists?
I don't know. I can't speak for Premier Smith. That'll be up to her to talk about it. But again, this isn't what we should be doing when there's so much uncertainty. We're under attack by President Trump. We need to be united, a united Canada. You know, I've always said, you know, united we stand, divided we fall. So I'll make sure that we stand united.
I think we're about a year out from you calling a snap election. The Prime Minister has pretty good polls right now. Do you think he should call an election and try and get a majority?
I'm not calling a snap election. I'm in there. Oh, Prime Minister. That's going to be up to the Prime Minister. I have no say in that. He'll decide when he wants to call the election or not. But that's going to be up to him.
Yesterday, you made the call.
I think that's great. Hyundai, Kia sell 220,000 cars a year, and they have no presence here in Canada. So we welcome that. We'll be there to support them any way we can, and hopefully those people that lost a job at GM or Stellantis in Brampton, there should be a priority hiring them first. We have the best auto manufacturing companies in the entire world, auto workers, the best in the world. So we'll be there to support them. We need the federal government to, again, get rid of that EV mandate. These auto companies plan on building cars 4 years ahead of time. So we need to make sure they stand up for the auto workers.
Your comments yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I'm responding to the media asking me a straight up question. I answered it straight up. I can tell you, Quebec is stronger in Canada, and Canada is stronger with the Quebec. I love Quebecers. I don't know, there's some connection with myself and Quebecers. I got to start learning French, by the way, but well, I just connect with them. Every time I meet people from Quebec, we connect. So I love the Quebecers. All my message is, again, Canada is stronger with Quebec and Quebec is stronger with Canada. And I hope that never happens. You know, we have a referendum going on out in Alberta. The separatists in Quebec say they're going to call a referendum if they get elected. Like, folks, we need to stick together. It's Team Canada. It's nothing else. We're so much stronger. And we're going to be so much stronger economically, too. Quebecers want jobs. And the way you get jobs is being part of Canada. But again, I can't figure it out, but I have a big spot in my heart for Quebecers, and I think we get along very well, at least every Quebecer I've ever met.
You said it would be a disaster if a separatist government were elected. Do you regret using that word?
No, they're separatists. He's going to call a referendum. If he, God forbid, he gets elected, I mark my words, within a year and a half, he'll be calling a referendum to separate from Canada. Unacceptable. You're so much stronger when you're part of Canada. People respect the hard work that people do in Quebec. They contribute to our overall GDP and our economic growth. They're an incredible province. They're incredible people. I support them 1,000%. But don't elect a separatist because it'll be a disaster. But thank you.
Continue to
Yeah, I
battle
get.
in referendums like that?